Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Aiman Syahmi bin Mokhtar and I will present Business Statistics QMT 2043, the School Research and Student Achievement. So this is my table of content. So the purpose of survey is to gain a general understanding of how school research relate to student learning and academic outcomes. For objective, we have we have qualitative objective, is to identify the main factors that limit students from using school research and determine which school research helps students the most in their academic achievement. For quantitative, we have two objectives. First, to find out how many times per week students use school facilities and determine how many hours per day students use school research for studying. For second objective, is to identify how many books students borrow from the school library per month. So for data search and sample size, we use primary data. Sample size is 30 respondents from Mara College. So this is my respondent raw data. We have 30 raw data. Factors that limit students from using school research. School research that help the most in academic achievement. And current academic performance level. For the quantitative, we have frequency of using school facilities per week, number of hours per day spent using school research for studying, and number of books borrowed from the school library per month. Next, we move to task 2, data presentation. So for qualitative data, factors that limit students from using school research. So we have limited operating hours and have number of students, broken equipment 3 students, slow Wi-Fi speed 9, lack of quiet space 2, lack of time 6, crowded facilities 3, poor lighting 2, lack of facilities 1. So the total is 30. So this is my presentation data. For interpretation, this indicates the technical and time-related barriers that may issues preventing students from fully utilizing school research. Slow internet especially suggests that even when facilities exist, their quality and efficiency are not sufficient. Next, school research that help the most in academic achievement. We have digital library, good student rooms, teacher consultation, high-speed internet, textbooks, e-learning portal. And the totals have the same is 30 number of students. So this is the data presentation of school research that help the most in academic achievement. So the student value both human support like teacher consultation and digital learning research. The repeat nature of these digital tools also show a strong reliance on technology-based learning. Next, current academic performance level. We have four level: below average, average, excellent, and good. And like the other two, we have 30 number of students the total. So the interpretation, the majority of students are performing at a moderate to good level, but relatively few achieve excellence. This could imply that while research are somewhat effective, so there is still room for improvement to push more students toward higher achievement levels. So we move to quantitative data. First, frequency of using school facilities per week. We have class interval times, class boundary, class midpoint, frequency, and cumulative frequency. So the interpretation, most students use school facility occasionally rather than frequently. So this model usage may be linked to the early identified limitation, like time constraints or poor Wi-Fi, which could discourage more regular use. Next, numbers of hours per day spent using school resource for studying. So this is the table: class interval, course boundary, midpoint frequency, and cumulative frequency. This is the data presentation. So the interpretation: students generally dedicate a reasonable amount of time to studying using school resource. However, the variation suggests difference in study habits. Some students are highly engaged, while others may only use resource minimally. Last, number of book borrowed from the school library per month. This is the presentation data. So this show a low to moderate level of library usage. It may indicate that students are either relying more on digital resource or not fully utilizing the library due to the previously mentioned limitation. Next, we move to task 3, data analysis. First, we can look the measure of central tendency, frequency of using school facilities per week. We have a mean, median, and mode. So the total of mean F 30 and FS 118.5. So mean we got 3.95. The average usage for school facilities is 3.95 times per week. For median, have the student use the facility time of less per week in 3.01. And for mod, the most common frequency of usage is 2.075 times per week. Next, number of hours per day spent using school resource for studying. The total of F 30 and FS 92. So mean we got the average time spent using research is 3.07 hours per day. For the median, 2.86, and for mod, uh, 2.23 is most frequent study duration hours per day. Now we look to numbers of book borrowed from the school library per month. Total of F 30 and FS 93. So mean the average number of book borrowed is 3.1 books per month. Median 2.8 2.80 number of book borrowed books per month. The mode 2.65 is the most typical borrowing habit among students per month. Now we look to measure of dispersion quartile. So first, number of hours per day spent using school research for studying. So first quartile we got 1.65. The second quartile 2.86, and third quartile 4.23. And for frequency of using school facility per week, first quartile we got 7.5. Sorry, 1.8689. Second quartile we got 3.01, and third quartile we got 7.04. And for number of book borrowed from the school library per month, first quartile we got 2.15, second quartile 2.80, and third quartile 3.46. For range, number of hours per day spent using school resource for studying. So mean we got 3.23, standard deviation we got 1.99. For frequency of using school facility per week, For the range, 6.0. For mean, 3.95. Standard deviation, 2.47. Now, number of book borrowed from the school library per month. For the range is 8.0. Mean, 3.10. Standard deviation, 1.28. Now we look to coefficient of variation. So comparison with CVB is equal to 67%. So the formula is the coefficient variation equal to, so we look a frequency of using school facilities. We got 62.59% hours spent using school resource is 61.30%. Books borrowed per month, 41.31%. So that means all three CV values are lower than the benchmark value of 67%. Therefore, all the data sets are more consistent than CVB. The most consistent data set is the number of books borrowed per month, 41.31%, because it has the lowest coefficient of variation. Now we move to person's coefficient of skewness. The formula is mean minus mod divide standard deviation. For frequency of using school facilities, we got 0.67. That means the skewness is positive. The distribution is positively, meaning a small number of students use school facility much more frequently than a majority. Hours spent using school resource, we got 0.42. That means distribution is slightly positive, indicating that a few students spend substantially more hours studying than average student. Next, books borrowed per month, we got 0.35, 0.35. So that means the distribution is slightly positively skewed, showing that most students borrow a small number of books while a few students borrow considerably more books. Now for the conclusion and recommendation. To summary of findings, the study show that school research play an important role in supporting student and academic achievement. So the most common factor limiting student from using school research is poor internet connection, while teacher support is identified as the result that helps students the most in their study. Most students report having a good level of academic performance. In terms of research usage, students generally use school facilities several times a week, spend around 2 until 4 hours per day, and borrow 1 until 3 books from the library each month. So overall, the result indicate that adequate school resource positively contribute to student learning outcome. Although improvement in internet connectivity and accessibility would further enhance student academic performance and resource utilization. For the suggestion and recommendation, the school should first improve its internet infrastructure by providing a faster and more stable internet connection. Then schools should increase awareness and accessibility of learning research to flexible operating hours, online learning platforms, and research sharing programs so that students with time constraints or limited access to device can benefit from this facility. This improvement will encourage greater use of school research and help enhance student academic achievement. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.